In this video, we're going to be talking about why sales feels so damn hard right now because something big is happening. I'm just kidding. I'm not going to rip off that guy from Twitter. But if you feel like you're in sales hell right now, trust me, you're not alone. I've heard from tons of people, hey, close rates are down, leads are ghosting, everyone's thinking about it. And in the back of their head, a lot of these people are thinking, did I just get lucky before? Is my market cooked? Is AI actually replacing everything? No, it's not. But things have changed. So let me explain what's happening. And honestly, the more I dive deep into this AI stuff, the more I'm like, holy shit, I'm very thankful that I'm in sales, that I have companies that require sales calls, because everything else, it is pretty scary out there. So if you guys are new here, my name is Dan Crowley. I'm one of the co-founders at Ascension and ListKit, where I'm leading 2 sales teams that pull in over $1 million a month combined. I've scaled 3 businesses to 6 figures a month. I've taken thousands of sales calls. I've built killer sales teams, and I've helped hundreds of clients do the exact same thing. So let's get into why sales feels like hell right now. And even though these problems may feel personal, they're not. Like I said, if you're sitting there thinking it used to be easier to close deals, and now out of nowhere, same process, same script, same pitch, it's just no longer working. You may be right. It was easier to close deals before. But if you're thinking it's you as a person that's like incapable of doing this anymore, or your offer that doesn't work anymore, or something else, it's not. The reality is the market has changed, but your process hasn't. And there lies the issue. In the market itself, it's not oversaturated. It's not like people aren't buying things anymore. People are still buying things. It's just much louder than it used to be, especially on the surface layer. So if you're getting people on sales calls, good news is you're no longer on the surface layer. You're down the funnel, right? Your middle of funnel, your bottom of funnel. It's not oversaturated there. But on the surface layer, there's just tons of shit. And shit is a fertilizer. Just more shit grows on top of it. But there's more than there's ever been before. There's more people advertising. There's more think pieces about how AI is taking over everything. There is more talk about how AI is going to do the exact service that you provide. So that's creating doubt. There's more AI slop content. There's more organic content. There's more gurus. There's more sales gurus telling everybody to act the same way on calls. There's more real reviews. There's more fake reviews. There's more anxiety from people. There's just more everything. And on top of that, everybody's been burned at this point. This isn't 2020 anymore, where you have millions of businesses who are just booking calls and looking to get online because a pandemic just hit out of nowhere, which was crazy, but that's something that we all lived through. Odds are, if you're an agency, a coaching program, a SaaS company, that prospect you're talking to has probably worked with a similar company and saw 0 results. Whether it was the prospect's fault or the company's fault, who knows, but the distrust is there. And AI has made information commoditized. People come into the call thinking they're experts on whatever service nowadays because they just typed into ChatGPT, hey, how would I do this thing? And they're like, oh yeah, I understand how it works, even if they've done nothing at all. So it's weird, but I've noticed like this sense of like entitlement, even though I've never done it, I kind of know it already. And they're just like, let me hear your plan for this in comparison to my plan, when it's like literally they did nothing. But when information becomes free, trust becomes expensive. And that's why when you're challenging this prospect who knows it all, like there's going to be friction, right? They think they know it all. You're challenging them. There's friction, but that's a good thing. That friction means you're rubbing up against something real. And you need to realize that on the other side of that friction, if you are good enough at sales, which I'm going to talk about how to be in this case specifically, money is on the other side of that. So if you're hitting it, it means you're close, right? So quick pause in the action. If you're a founder under 30K a month, tired of inconsistent sales, we can help you out. Our AI assisted agency program can help you scale profitably with AI and a killer sales team. Like our client Calvin, who was just able to hit 60K a month in monthly revenue. Click the link below, learn more how you can leverage AI to scale your agency. Let's get back into it. So as I was talking about, friction is not a bad thing. And in my opinion, friction, uncomfortable conversations, and objections are all buying signals today. That's my unpopular opinion. If you're running into this, you're close. You're not broken. Right? You need to work because, like I said, the market's changed, but it means you're not like miles away. You're a couple feet away. And on the other side is gold, like I talked about. If there's healthy friction on the call, they're giving you legitimate objections, and they're willing to have uncomfortable conversations, that is a green flag for that prospect. And of course, guys, there's always going to be 5-10% of prospects that are absolute laydowns, but I'm talking about the 90% here that you're actually having trouble closing. And the reason why I believe this is because with the amount of options that people are presented with these days, the average person literally cannot take 99% of the options they're presented with. It's just impossible. There's so many different ways to get leads. There's so many ways to create content. Personal branding is like the new alpha. And then I'm going to click over and I'm going to see an ad like personal branding is dead. Do this instead. It's just so much. And people also live a very comfortable life here, even if they're not making as much money as they want. So if you think about that, they're presented with tons of options. They can't take everything. They're also like pretty comfortable, pretty coddled people. And that's like all of us, including myself. If that person is on a call with you, these same people that are like anxious about calling a restaurant these days, they're willing to have uncomfortable conversations with you, and they're giving you objections that show they've got doubts. I'd say they're pretty serious about this. If not, they just would not be on that call in that situation willing to have that conversation with you. And even better, if they're giving you the objection that you need to solve, even if you're not good enough and you're kind of accepting the smoke screens of like, I got to think about it, I'll take some time. We're going to talk about that in a second. But the objections are uncertainty and fear. Like, great. If we can solve that, awesome. We got the close. The average anxious, burnt out person, like I said, would not still be on the call if they weren't remotely interested in your service, right? So if you can successfully sniff out those smoke screen, isolate the objections, handle these uncertainty and fear objections, you're not only going to be able to close deals again, you're also going to be able to lap all of the other competition who can't do exactly this. So let's just talk about what you need to do to lap your competition here. And first off, like I said, trust is the expensive thing. So you have to remember that all of this is designed to build trust, not destroy it. Right. So it's not going to be like crazy high pressure stuff that I'm talking about. It's a process of gaining their trust, which, like I said, is harder to do nowadays than it ever has before. So have a good online presence. Pretty simple. If you're a coach, have a good personal brand. If you're an agency, have a good personal brand, good website, have reviews. Like, all of these things matter nowadays. People are going to do their research. Have sharper qualification. Even if you're not having tons and tons of leads, don't just let anybody book through, and don't not tell people who this is for and who this isn't for. Because if you're just the magic fucking, lead generator that can do this for anybody and everybody, once again, that sows distrust, which is exactly what we're not trying to do. So tell people, if you have a super expensive service, like, tell people, hey, this isn't for you if you're below this revenue or you can't invest this much, right? Like, have that be a part of your process. Build rapport before the call. Like, have them show up interested in talking to you specifically, meaning like send them over a video from you specifically that, if it's not personalized, seems somewhat personalized. Send them over a quick video like this. And once again, if it's not personalized, make it seem somewhat personalized, but show your face, talk to them. Like, don't be the anon. These things, like I said, building trust is way, way, way more important than it's ever been before. It's only going to get crazier with deep fakes and all of that stuff. So like, make sure that you have this as a part of your process. But for us specifically, we'll have our reps film a personal video with their face talking about it, even though we could obviously just have one size fits all pre-call video. We're doing that because, once again, that trust building is more important nowadays than it's ever been. When people get on the call, they want to talk to a human, not a sales robot. The sales guys who seem to be able to joke around and kind of break the fourth wall when the conversation is getting unproductive, and be able to like take their quote unquote sales hat off for a second, even though that's like a good sales technique, just have like a real conversation with somebody, they seem to be doing way better right now. So realize as well that in this world of like anxious, distrusting people, where people don't know what to do and what's real, what's not, people want to be led. So you should keep that in mind and have a good amount of leadership throughout your call. You should be making strong recommendations once you have all the context that you need to. You should be telling them, obviously you need to ask questions to get them to come to their own realizations, but when the time comes during the pitch, you should be telling them how this is going to change your business, in what way, in what numbers precisely. Maintain rapport throughout the call. When I say rapport, this is like, I wanted to highlight this because I don't mean like, how's the weather going? How's the weather going? How's the week going? How's the weather over there? Bullshit like that. Rapport, in my mind, and I got this from Alex Ramosi, is just like the ability to have a productive conversation with this person. The moment that drops off is the moment they're just like, sales guy, like he's just going to kind of say his spiel. Like, you need to be able to get through to this person while challenging them, while handling objections, while pitching. So you need to maintain that rapport throughout the call, which means like, if your typical frame, let's say you're an icy closer and you're just like, kind of like very neutral tonality, and you're kind of just like lean back and you kind of like going at people. That's your thing. Cause that can work really, really well for certain people. If that's just not working for a prospect, you need to be able to change levels. You need to be able to change frames. A bad sales rep will just stay in the same exact frame the entire call, because that's all they know, or try to always like match the frame of the prospect, where that just doesn't work because no tension or like no movement is coming off of that. So no growth happens. And if you're switching between like inferior and superior frame, that means like you should be like, oh, like I probably messed that up. Let me just explain a little bit better. The reason why I need to know this is blah, 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 blah. Like, that's an inferior frame, where a superior frame has got you. So like, now I'm asking a challenging question and leading them into the solution, but be able to have that throughout the call. And then, like somebody who wants to genuinely help them, like a friend, like a good leader, you need to challenge them when it's required. If you're just telling them what they want to hear, or you're not pointing out like obvious incongruencies in their thinking process, that's not productive. And they can also feel that on their end. Like, they should be realizing at that point they're talking to a human, and never stop challenging them, but Also, never let your frustration show at any part of the call. Like, always be super conscious of your tonality, and tonality right now is one of those things that seems to be more important than ever. I'm coming into this cool, calm, confident leader. That's what I want my tonality to say. And at the same time, I'm like, I don't really need this, right? This person needs the deal more than I need the sale. So if they don't sign, like, it's no skin off my back. I'm going to be good. But like, that's the type of tonality I'm having throughout. I'm not like getting frustrated or pounding the table or, freaking out or acting sad when they give me an objection. I'm expecting that, and I want that, because like I said, that tension is a good thing these days. You need to be able to seek clarity. Like, you need to be super precise when you're going to describe how you're going to be helping them and why they need you. So like, during discovery, don't deal in ranges, right? If somebody's like, yeah, I'm doing 10 to 15K a month. Like, okay, how much did you do in the last 30 days specifically? Or I don't like my job. What do you mean by you don't like your job? What specifically don't you like? How long has that been going on for? Like, get into the nitty gritty. What don't you like it? Things about that. You need to be able to build a really clean ROI case, because if you're successfully going to get to fear and uncertainty, and you want those to be the only objections that are on the other side of you closing, like, logically, this has to make perfect sense for them. Because when it's fear and uncertainty, and logically they're not sure if this makes sense for them, then it's just all too much, right? Those are the types of people that just don't close in the call. But if like ROI is there, logically this makes perfect sense, then that's when fear and uncertainty are going to be the only remaining things. We can handle that and get the close. Don't confuse these uncomfortable conversations with negativity. So like, as soon as that starts happening, you should be as cool and calm and confident as ever. And like I said, people want to be led. These uncomfortable conversations as a sales guy are what you're paid to do. Like, this is where the money's being made. So don't like shut down or be like, all right, let's just book follow up with these guys. Like, no, this is your exact time to lock in. Hold them accountable, stay in the pocket. Very similar to what I just said last. Like, just do not see the uncomfortable conversation and let your fight or flight go, and you just kind of like run, or you fight and you get super frustrated. Like, now is the time to be closing. Do not let them off the call. One of the other things about like the surface layer just being so much more crowded is people's attention spans are shorter than ever. Like, if you can help them now, you are doing a disservice by not closing them, because you know what happens 99% of the time if you don't. They go off, they get hit with another 15 ads, like, whatever. And then whatever happens, they usually just do nothing. Like I've said in previous videos, inaction is your biggest competitor. And if it does go to follow up, make sure you keep that conversation going. Even if you already have their phone number, like, grab their phone number on the call, be like, oh, let me, save your contact or whatever. If you didn't, text them immediately, and just like compress that follow-up timeline as much as possible. A lot of times now I'm suggesting same day follow-ups. If they're doing something that like obviously could be done quickly, I'm not saying, oh, when can we get that done, and letting them drive it, because they're always going to say, tomorrow, the next day, after the weekend, whatever. Like, if they need to move funds from one account into another, or they need to talk to a business partner that they're in the office with, I'm more so saying, when are we going to be able to do that today? How many hours is that going to take? Because once again, like, I need to compress that. I know how short people's attention spans are. One more quick break in the action. If you haven't yet, grab my full guide on how to close 40% of cold traffic leads. Breaks down everything from discovery to objection handling and the exact processes that help me close deals consistently, even when I was starting from zero. So hit the link below, get it for free, and start leveling up your sales game. Last things we're going to get into now is how to handle these fear and uncertainty objections. Now, at this point, if we've done everything up here, like all the way down, we should have a pretty good baseline of trust established. We should have a pretty good process. So now we just need to clean up the remaining objections. And ideally, you're leaving yourself with like a 4-foot putt. Like, yeah, you miss those sometimes, but like, it should be pretty reasonably makeable. You're not needing to chip in from off the green. Because like I said, you have a good process. You've done everything up top. You have that trust. Now it's just left to handle those fear and uncertainty objections like a professional. Like I said, at this point in the call, if you've done your job right, the offer should make logical sense. The math checks out. The ROI is clear. They've admitted there's a problem. So if they're still hesitating, it's usually down to fear or uncertainty. And you need to be able to diagnose this, right? Like, most sales reps, if they can't diagnose this effectively or don't know which one it is, they kind of just start to go in and pitch again. And that completely kills trust at this part of the call. We're talking at the very end of the call here, because the alarm bells are going to go off in the form of like, yep, this guy Dan, he's just like all the other salespeople. He's just going to keep pitching until I hang up or buy, and it's just going to kill the rapport that you built throughout the call. So let's start with uncertainty. This is somebody who's like, they see it, like they understand why this would make sense for them, but they're just not fully convinced that this would work for them specifically, right? It's not just enough that they understand that this works for other people or has worked for other people. Like, they need to actually understand that it can work for them, which sometimes is like a little more confidence in your service. Sometimes it's like self-belief and confidence that they need. But uncertainty isn't usually going to be like framed clearly. It's vague, and it's not going to be like, hey, I'm uncertain about this. a lot of times. If they say that, great. Like your life is pretty easy. A lot of times I'm trying to reframe people into talking about certainty specifically, but it usually sounds like, hey, I just need to think about this. I'm leaning towards it. It looks good. We've been burned in the past, so we want to take our time. And most reps try to fight this uncertainty with just more explaining. Like I mentioned, that doesn't work. If somebody's uncertain, the goal on my end isn't immediately to convince. Like I'm going to slow down to speed up at this part of the call. And my goal is just to quantify what's actually making them feel uncertain. Because like I said, it's like this veiled thing. They're throwing a smoke screen at you. I need to get something concrete so I can actually handle that objection. And the way that I like to do this is just throw a 1 through 10 temp check. It's very important how you execute this because people have seen this a million times. They know what you're doing. But if you frame it the right way, it still works extremely well. Because once again, it's taking something that's like very qualitative and subjective to quantify it and make it objective. So if they're uncertain, I'm just going to slow down. I'm going to be cool. I'm going to be confident. I'm going to lead them. I'm going to show some empathy, right? Hey, completely understand where you're coming from. Just so I understand where you're at on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 being like, this guy is just horrible. He's making me late for lunch. I don't want to talk to him again. And 10 being, yeah, this is exactly what we need to start scaling again and hit 50K a month this year. Where would you say you are? And then I'm going to shut up. Most people are going to say like 6, 7, 8. Good. That's workable. And once again, I'm not like sad or discouraged that they didn't give me a 10, right? Obviously we knew that wasn't going to happen. And I'm also like usually going to like laugh and like have fun with it at this point. Like people want to work with the guy that seemingly has it all figured out. So I'll be like, okay, shit. Well, that's not horrible. I guess why would you say you're that high? And at that point, they're going to start to sell themselves a little bit. They'll say, well, the ROI makes sense, or yeah, you clearly understand our problem, or like, the structure is solid. And they're going to start like stacking reasons to move forward, and the resistance is going to lower just because of how I handled it, right? I'm not like immediately like, what do you need to be a 10? I'm like, oh, shit, that's not too bad, man. Why would you say you're not a 1 or a 2? And once again, they're going to start talking about the benefits there. Now I'm going to isolate and be like, yeah, man, I agree with a lot of what you said. And like I said, I'm super confident we can help you with your content production. So if that's the case, I guess what's keeping you from a 10, John? And that's the real objection, right? Not the smoke screen, thinking about it. They're usually going to give me something that's more concrete. And a lot of times the reason why I like the group fear and uncertainty is because like, if there's no like concrete reason here and it's just fear, okay, then we move on to addressing the fear. But if they have something where it's like real concrete money, partner, timing, of course, so we can just get into handling that the way that we need to do. But like these two, fear and uncertainty, are what I'm seeing a lot more than I ever have. Now, when it comes to fear, this is like, they are already convinced that this could work. This could work for them. They're just like still freezing. And it's going to show up, like I said, when the math works, the logic works, problems clear, solutions clear, and they're still hesitating. That's not confusion. That's their gut. That's their risk tolerance. That's them fighting against the discomfort, which once again, discomfort, not a bad thing. Like basically all growth comes from discomfort. This is a person who hasn't been able to fix their problems that you're helping them with on their own yet, hence why they're on the call. So like, good. Like they need that discomfort to make that transformation. And business owners, they're never going to be like, oh, I'm scared. Like, so you're going to have to surface it for them. And usually what I like to do is just use like permission-based pressure. And you can see I'm kind of like inserting humor and I'm bringing more levity to the conversation. Like when I'm handling objections, there is time where I'm going to like really get more serious with people. But when I'm starting to handle an objection, so it doesn't feel like that, because I know I've got more time on the call. I don't want the sales resistance to be a 10 out of 10 the whole time. Usually I'm trying to be like, they're kind of getting the feeling and able to have a productive conversation, once again, maintaining that rapport with me. Because I'm treating it as like, okay, it's not the most fucking serious thing in the world, right? So initially, I'm not trying to overpower them. I'm not getting frustrated. I'm just going to calmly lead. I'll be like, do you mind if I ask you something, Tim? And they always say yes. And once again, like that like same thing, me fucking like scratching my head, like looking around, like that's good stuff when you're at this part of the call. Because like being like smooth and like overly suave is very overrated, I think, when handling objections. Because if you are overly smooth, people are like, okay, this guy feels scripted. Anything I say, he's going to have some like canned comeback or, some story right away. And this is just how it works. It's like, no, I want to, once again, to think about that. So once again, I'm like, dude, do you mind if I ask you a question, Tim? They're always going to say yes. Resistance is going to drop. Then I ask, is it all that you just don't want to make a rush decision and have this all blow up in your face and not work out? And once again, like watching their body language most of the time, like that's it. And because I kind of framed it in like an exaggerated, funny way, they're like, yeah, dude, I mean, it's totally fair. Obviously, Dan, I don't want that. I'm not fighting the fear. I'm acknowledging it because once again, like the fear is fine. That's going to exist. And I know I need to win their trust. And that's the expensive part right now. It's not my service. So after I do that, and they're like, yeah, I mean, obviously, I don't want this to not work. And we've been down this path before and it didn't work. Or maybe they're saying like, yeah, I need to take some time. I made rush decisions before. I really like to sleep on it. I got to pray on it. So after validating that, now I'm going to go into reframing and understanding why you need to reframe things is super, super important. I'm just going to give you guys a few different examples of like somebody coping. Cause like I said, at this point in the call, everything makes sense. And I'm going to talk about like how I would handle certain scenarios. And this is scripted out just for the sake of example, but realize you're not going to ever have a perfect script for this because people are framing their fear and they have their own personal reasons for everything. Right? Like one guy may be fearful because he got burned in the past. Another guy may be fearful because his fucking Bitcoin is down 50%. Another person may be fearful because whatever, right? He's actually not confident in his own business. There's a lot of different ways this can be framed. The important thing is you're able to sit, not jump off the call, slow down the speed up, stay in the pocket and be able to reframe this for him. So let's just say it's like decision-making speed. I just need a couple days and pray about it. Like, hey man, let's set aside timing for a second and just talk about if you're going to do this and not when you might do this. So like timing aside, does this make logical sense for your business? Because that's what's important to me. Like I want to make sure that, you know, you're actually seeing the value in here, whether you do it today or you never do it at all. Like, are you actually confident it's going to get you that goal of 100K a month? Now they're going to think out loud. And if it's a clear yes, once again, like if they're thinking out loud at this point in the call, I'll just let them ramble a little bit. Like it's not like discovery where you need to cut people off sometimes. And if it's a clear yes, and once again, they're still like, I need to sleep on it. I need to pray on it. And once again, like I'm going to stay in the pocket. So I may need to go through this 3-4 times and frame it different ways. And if somebody's praying like, hey dude, I'm a Christian, I'll pray with you on the call right now and go through this process with you. But I'm usually going to say something to the effect of like, gotcha. So like, dude, I'm like you. I don't like to make rush decisions either. But when everything makes sense logically, your confidence is going to help you get to this goal. We've talked about the reasons why. Do you think making decisions quickly is a strength or a weakness? And they're obviously going to say it's strength. It makes sense. They're a business owner. They understand this stuff. And then I'm just going to re-ask. I'm going to ask for the sale. Cool, man. So do you want to start fixing this issue now? You ready to get started? Like, that's it. Once again, very cool, very calm, very collected. And if they keep giving me no's, once again, I'm going to keep reframing this stuff. If they say I need to sleep on it, I'll be like, okay, cool, John, let's say you sleep on it. And when we talk tomorrow, you wake up, you feel the exact same way that you do right now. What would you do? You would do it, right? So like now we're going to be, okay, we've got it. Hey, it's established. It's there. I also said when we talk tomorrow. So like latest is I'm getting a close tomorrow. But then also at that point, I can just question his decision-making process, right? I don't have to be a dick about it. I don't have to be like, well, it's just the way you've always made decisions, you idiot. No, it can be obviously a lot more cool, calm, collected than that. I can insert humor to just kind of bring some levity and lower the sales resistance, but I can question his decision-making process. The important thing, and like I said, is you need to be able to reframe. And if it's a no, if it's like they're not confident they're going to be able to get to their goal, then I'm obviously going to ask them why they feel that way and solve from there. Now, let's go through an additional cope example. And let's like use a coaching program, for example, for somebody that's been burned in the past. I could say something to the fact, once again, reframing this. Hey, do you think if you spent $2,500 on that coaching program that you didn't see any return on, and instead you made $10,000 when you did it, do you think you'd be feeling differently right now? And they'd be like, yeah, I mean, I guess I would. I'd be like way more confident in the state of coaching and the state of the world. I'm just scarred, Dan. Yeah, I bet you made a bad decision, right? Yeah, those guys suck. Okay, got it. So I guess my question here is, are you willing to let that bad decision with those guys that, in your words, sucked, cloud your judgment and potentially make you make another bad decision? Or do you want to talk about what concerns you still have to see if this is for you and how it's going to be totally different than last time, or if it is? Once again, I've reframed it. I can get back into the conversation. Hopefully they give me something more concrete. Hey, this program didn't have enough one-on-one attention. Hey, this program didn't have this. Or hey, I like everything you guys are doing with AI, but like I really just need lead generation help right now. Cool. You can grab that something concrete. You can convince, you can close from there. Let's go through another cope example. Yeah, and this all looks really, really good. To be honest right now, like, stuff's tight. I need to sign another client to be able to, feel comfortable doing this. Now, I treat that as fear because there's a difference. Like I need to feel comfortable doing this, not I need to be like, I needed another client to even be able to do this. Because if I go through this and then I find out like they quite literally don't have the money, then that's more of a financial objection, right? And I can get into handling that from there. And once again, a financial objection, it's like people that feel it's too expensive for what you're providing, or there's people that quite literally can't afford it. But usually if I've got a good idea, this is more so fear than the client not just having money, I can handle something like this. Like how many clients you got to sign? Like 1, 2, 10? And they always kind of say, oh, I just need to sign one client, man. Just need to sign one client. Got it. So client acquisition is clearly a priority. So what happens if you don't land that client? Well, I don't know. We just have to like evaluate our options, Dan. Understood, but does client acquisition become a bigger priority or a smaller priority if you don't? Well, blah, 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 blah. You know, yeah, it probably a bigger priority. Got it. So I appreciate you being honest with me, truly, man, because I've been doing this for a while. We've helped a lot of people in your space, and I've seen these situations go really well. I've also seen them go really poorly. And typically when it goes well is when somebody's focused on fixing the problem, not the symptom. Are you following here? And if they're not following, you can kind of explain it to them, right? Like the problem is client acquisition. And a symptom of that is you need to sign another client to be able to do something like this. So why, if we're able to, if we're not, we can talk about that. But why, if we're able to, are we not solving the actual problem here? And once again, if they kind of are like, yep, following, like, all right. So when it goes well is when someone finds a solution to the real problem and gets help immediately. And when it goes poorly is when someone tells me the exact reason why this is a need is the reason they're not doing this. Then they go away and the problem usually gets bigger, unfortunately. And the next time I hear from them, they don't want to do this, or they do want to do this, but they're just in a worse position to do so. I guess, what do you think about that, John? And then once again, I'm back in. I've reframed it a little bit. I've got them to think differently about this fear to help them overcome it. And you're usually like, yeah, man, I mean, that all makes sense. I get what you're saying. Those are good points. I'm just asking for the sale again. Cool. So you're ready to fix this now? And I'm going to continue to reframe. I'm going to continue to ask. Like more asks equals more sales. That's it. A lot of times, and if you don't believe me, watch even your own closes. Watch closes from a good closer. Like a lot of times, there's not just one singular ask that everything builds up to, and then they close. It's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, however many it needs, once again, to help the person that they need, but hang in the pocket, do not let them off the call. And let's talk about like why this is going to help you lap your competition, because AI can give you scripts. It can't read hesitation yet. It can't adjust tonality in real time and go from like an inferior frame to superior frame to be able to have a productive conversation with this person specifically. It can't feel when someone is scared to move. Like that's real human leverage, which once again, the more I start off this video by saying, the more I go through AI and stuff, I'm playing around with Claude Code and I'm creating like my own personal knowledge base. I'm like, this shit is scary, dude. Like the amount of things that need to be formatted differently that I would never be able to figure out on my computer, where it's not like, hey, let me just handle that for you. It's crazy. But being able to be in a field where there's human leverage, like that's awesome. And like I talked about, markets change. Like in 2020, hype would just close deals. Now in 2026, in my opinion, calm conviction and leadership is going to close. So if you can maintain rapport, build trust, quantify uncertainty, surface fear, hang in the pocket, handle those objections, you're going to be able to lap people, because people still want to talk to people. That's kind of like the TLDR of this whole thing. So if you're good at talking to people, building trust, having a real human to human conversation, and also good at these like more, fine skills of sales, you're going to be great. Like people are just more skeptical than ever. Markets change, but if you change before others, you are going to make a shit ton of money. So hopefully I helped you do that today. And if you feel like now, great, I know how to get in ahead of sales in this weird time. Awesome. Like I did my job here. But if you feel like you already knew this coming into the call and you feel like you're just in a good old fashioned slump at this point, watch my next video on how I help pull founders and sales reps out of slumps. One of my favorite videos. Links on the screen now. Let's keep crushing it. Peace.